Well then, guys, it's it's not easy times at the minute. So I was sat at home and I started reflecting on my fishing. I've been watching it on telly, been watching YouTube, and really missing sort of getting out there. It's I keep thinking to myself, it's the old close season, can't go fishing, and then I start thinking, I did 7 months when I was on tour with the army. But it's not the same. I'm at home. My local lake and pond is literally in spitting distance from my house, and I really started to reflect on the sort of the journey that I've been on with my fishing, and how sort of deep and important fishing is to me. We all say, it's a passion. It's what I do, and I've started thinking back to, as a kid, it was a pastime. I went fishing down the river with my mates. I absolutely loved going fishing, and getting up to all sorts of no good as well. And then it sort of moved on, and it does become a real passion, a real drive, a real part of your life. And over the last 10 years, that has changed dramatically with sort of being involved with the fishing industry. So what I wanted to do is just sort of go through my journey over the last sort of 10 years really, and explain, what it's all about, and how now I look back and how lucky I've been. But at the time, 10 years ago, I was looking down a tunnel thinking, is there any light at the end of this? Because things were a little bit bad, But fishing, for me, has been my drive and my focus, and what's really sort of moved life along for me. I'm just about to hit 40 years old, and so the last 10 years has really been something special. So if I go back then, so 10 years nearly, so it'll be this time next year, it'll be 10 years. I returned from Afghanistan. I was very privileged to be in the army. Took me many years to get in, and I thoroughly enjoyed what I did in my time. I unfortunately sustained a spine injury on my operational tour. Didn't have the best tour in the world. Lots of things happened, and I had a massive wobble when I was out on tour. And it was only the sort of the guys around me and my mates and stuff that sort of pulled it back in line. And I found that very, very hard then when I actually got injured, because I never felt like I was able to sort of not prove myself, but to right the wrongs, if that makes sense. So 10 years ago, I came back, unfortunately, like I say, with this injury. So that was 2011. And then I spent between 2011 and 2014 in and out of exercise rehab and Headley Court and surgery and all this. And unfortunately, my journey in the army came to its end on the 31st of October 2014. And that was a real hard day, and I was lost. I really was lost. I didn't join the army till I was 24, so I didn't feel like I was institutionalised, but I wasn't ready to leave. I'd done some amazing things, been to some amazing places, got up to all sorts of shenanigans when I was serving, and it really is a way of life more than a job. So, I started looking at what am I going to do next. What do I really want to be involved in? What's going to be the drive and passion that I had when I was in the army. And my fishing has always been a big part of my life. I love it. I can't sit still for 5 minutes. But when I go fishing, it's completely different. Friends and family of mine, they just cannot get their heads around the fact that I can't sit still for a second, but I go fishing and I'm just zoned in, and I'm as happy as a pig in poo doing it. So I reached out to some of the fishing companies. I worked in sales before I joined the army, and I thought, I wouldn't mind going into sales or something along those lines within the fishing industry. And I was very, very lucky that Ian McCormack, the founder of Sonic, got back in contact with me. He said that he'd seen my CV, and unfortunately there wasn't any sort of jobs at the moment, but would keep me in the picture. but he'd seen some of the stuff I'd done for my own little products that I was selling, and asked if I'd be interested in coming and meeting him and having a chat and seeing if there was anything that I could do sort of with Sonic as part of it. And that was nearly 6 years ago. And it's just evolved and rolled on and got bigger and better. And the journey that I've taken over this last 10 years has been amazing. It really has been amazing. If someone said to me, "Oh yeah, Dave, in 10 years' time, when times were bad, when I was injured and I was having to leave the services and what have you, if someone said, look, Dave, in 10 years' time, this is what's going to be and this is where you're going to be," I'd be like, yeah, whatever, shut up. But I can honestly say, I can look back now and go, actually, this has been, for all of the wrongs at the start, it's been an absolutely cracking 10 years. I'm very, very lucky and very, very privileged to be involved with Sonic and other companies. The industry is a funny fish, but the people in it are amazing. They all work for different companies. Friends of mine work at company A and B and C and whatever. But when we go along to the shows, you've got that common interest. It's great to catch up with people. You have a beer and you have a curry, and you don't get that in a lot of walks of life. I never went down the sort of sales route or working full time in the fishing industry. And I'm very privileged and very lucky to be doing the job that I now do, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I didn't think I would find something that gave me the spark and the buzz like it did when I was in the army. But I've got that again with what I do now. So I'm very, very lucky, and I'm even more lucky that the fishing can run parallel with that, and I can sort of I can still enjoy it as a hobby and a pastime, as the passion, but also be involved in it and do the testing and do the shows and the video work and be and write for magazines and all the things that have come along over the last 10 years that I thoroughly enjoy. So I just wanted to sort of run you through the journey that I've been, really, because it has been an interesting one. So fishing's been great, so what's my highlights then? So most memorable has got to have been, I've never been to France before. I was due to come back from Afghanistan, and I've got a fishing trip booked to France with some fantastic friends. Been very, very lucky to have had a really good friend of mine, Max Cottis, who I've known for a number of years now, and he's been a real mentor to me as well as a friend. Friends of mine, Barry and his wife Julie, and then Gerard, and even my brother was booked to come along on the trip. So I'd never been to France, never fished over there before. It was a bit cutting it fine whether I was going to make it. My finish date over in Afghanistan kept getting pushed backwards. I ended up coming home on the Tuesday, had medals parade on the Thursday, and then had a horrendous 8-hour drive to Rivière in France with, at the time, what I didn't realise was a fractured spine. But had the best week's fishing of my life. Even now, I look back, and it was, without a shadow of a doubt, the best fishing trip I've ever had. It's just, we got there, we got set up, took it all nice and steady. I've been planning it in my head. I'd had 7 months of being stuck out in the desert, not being able to fish, even looking at the Helmand River, thinking, I wonder if I could get a little telescopic rod and have a little go in the Helmand River, but didn't chance it in the end. And the very first night over in France, I ended up having a 52-pound 2-ounce carp, and I was absolutely over the moon. I had it in the early hours of the morning, didn't wake anybody up, put it in the recovery sling, and just lay there just until sunrise, just absolutely buzzing. At that point I hadn't caught a 40 ever. I'd obviously never caught a 50. So the first night to land a 52-pound mirror was just phenomenal. So that trip to France then has got to be my most memorable sort of experience over the last 10 years. And since then, I've been to France a number of times with friends and so on. And being involved with Sonic and the fishing industry has just been amazing, in that, you know, I've been involved in sort of product development. You know, I've done sort of socials for with the tackle company, testing new kit, giving my ideas over, seeing some of my ideas actually turn into products, and then things like, you know, some of the video work, and also sort of writing for the magazines. You know, it's just snowballed and escalated, and it's great to be able to turn what was a hobby and a passion and something that I really enjoyed into something that runs parallel with my sort of working life and home life, and still gives me as much, if not more, pleasure as it did when I was just sort of, you know, trying to float down the river when I was a kid. So, you know, my journey's been an interesting one, and with these uncertain times, you know, we're all stuck indoors, absolutely gagging to get out, but it won't be long before we're all back out and the rods are out and the line's in the water, and I hope to start hearing my alarms screaming off and playing that fish and getting that feeling of the fish going over that net cord. So I hope it's been interesting. You know, stay safe, guys. We've got a little bit of time yet, and all being well, we'll be back out on the lakes and rivers sooner rather than later.